Hi, so here we are with part 2 of this week's homework video. So we're going to do a little bit more seated work, some side lying, some prone extension, 4-point kneeling and standing. So let's come back to our seated position. So as we began at the start of this class, if you're more comfortable to perch on the edge of a chair or stool at home, that's fine. Otherwise, long frog would be great if possible, or you could have the legs crossed or in your long frog position when you're still going to find those sit bones and try not to be leaning forward or back, and the soles of the feet just lightly together. So initially, we're going to just do a little bit of waist twist. So you could start with hands just across your chest, keep that length through the spine, grow as tall as you can. So breath in first, lengthen up, and as you breathe out, centre eyes, head, neck, ribs, and we're going to just spiral around. Inhale to come back again. So breath and centre eyes, head, neck, ribs, and then inhale to come back again. So grow as tall as you can. So look where you're going to go, let the head turn a tiny bit and then spiral down the rest of the upper back. Inhale, coming back. So look as you exhale, eyes, head, neck, and then coming back from there. You could also do this in your Cossack waist twist position. Just careful the shoulders aren't too hunched up, forearms lightly pressing in towards each other, and you'll keep the middle part of your forearm just underneath your wrist in line with your breastbone, so we're not leading with the arms. So breath centre, still eyes, head, neck, ribs as you spiral. Inhale, come back, breath centre, eyes, head, neck, ribs, and then coming back from there. If it's comfortable for you, you could extend the arms. They're not directly in the side in line with your shoulders, they're just slightly in front. And this time I want you to think about the movement from ribs, neck, head, rather than the other way, which you did a moment ago. So it's not the arms dragging you around, it's your trunk and your upper back spiralling, the arms are following. So as you breathe out centre, let's do ribs, neck, head, arms, and inhale, come back. Grow tall, and as you breathe out, ribs, head, neck, arms, and then come back, or probably neck and head, really. So as you breathe out, centre, ribs, neck, head, arms, inhale, come back, breath and centre, ribs, neck, head, arms, and then inhale to come back. And then just releasing down and shrug out the shoulders a little bit if you need to. So an important thing with that is we're really trying to use the movement to help to get all of the air out as you exhale, and then you can inhale and fill back up with fresh air again. So from here, we're going to stay seated, do a little bit of spine stretch forward. If spinal flexion is contraindicated for you, please just stick with the first stage, which will be a neutral hinge. So if your legs are crossed, that's okay. You're just going to probably slide the hands a little further down or possibly just slightly beyond your legs. If you're long frog, you're going to have the hands just on the shins. So we're sat really tall, and as you breathe out centre, we're just going to hinge the spine forward a little bit, and then we'll inhale, coming back up. So breath and centre, think of growing as tall as you possibly can. It isn't a massive range of movement, but we're trying to keep that neutral spine the same way that when you, if you were to do your Pilates squat or your chair squat. Okay, so stay with that one if you need to. The next option is we're going to just round the upper back down. So I'm still sitting tall, and then inhale, chin tuck, exhale, starting to peel down, sliding the hands down, keeping that tummy engaged. Inhale once you get there, and then exhale, unravel and stacking back up again. So inhale, chin tuck, exhale, peeling down, so really scooping like I'm rounding myself over a gym ball. Try not to hunch up those shoulders. Breath when you're there, and then unraveling down. And then you can pop those two together, that you start to peel down. So inhale, chin tuck, exhale, rounding down. Keep the arms still, and then as you inhale, just try and find that neutral shape of your spine, and then we're floating back up again. So you inhale, chin tuck, exhale, peel down just a little way, find that neutral spine, and then gliding back up. Just one more. So inhale, chin tuck, peeling down, lengthening up, and then gliding back up from there. And do feel free to shake out the shoulders, shake out the legs and the hips from there. And then next we're going to do your side leg work and your rotation. So you'll need some cushion. So you might just need a little cushion initially for the side leg work. You might need a bigger cushion or a pillow under your head when we do your rotation. So let's start with your side leg. Again, I'm going to just do around 4 or 5 each of these with you. So you can work up to doing possibly between 6 to 8 of each. So underneath arm, ideally lengthened away, but if you need to use a bigger cushion and arms in front, that's fine. We're going to keep the legs in chair. So keep that length and release through the centre. And we'll start with lift and lower. So lengthen that top leg away in line with the hip. Keep that length and lift through the waist. So your hand could be lightly in front of you, or hand on the hip, or possibly arm up in the air with the palm facing forward. So whichever version suits you. I'm going to just work here today to help me keep that distance rib to hip. You could keep the foot flexed, or you can lift up with a point and down with a flex. So we're going to just inhale, lift, exhale, lower. So inhale with a point and exhale with a flex. So keeping that length as if there's an elastic band from your tailbone or from your sit bone all the way down to the bottom of your heel. And when you're lowering that leg, it's just to hip height. Okay, if you need a breather between, just come back to chair. So the next one we'll work on will be your circles. So leg long, toes softly pointed, keep breathing and scooping and stirring round. Do try and take that leg behind the hip as long as you're not arching your back. So I'm just doing up to about 5 each way, and we're going to reverse and go the other way. Good. So keeping this distance, keeping the shoulders soft, and then just pausing back in chair. And then I'm going to do forward and back, and if you wanted to, you could swing the arm the opposite way. So leg long, foot flex as you breathe out centre, kick, inhale, soft point, exhale, back. And if you want the arm to go the other way, you kick forward, the arm sweeps back, inhale, point, exhale, forward. So the leg stays on that same plane, the arc is slightly more, the arm is more of a arc-like movement. Been a long day. And then at the end, you could come into a quad stretch if that's comfortable for you, but be careful not to arch your lumbar spine. Some of you like to sweep the leg back and just round and rotate that upper body forward, so be careful of the excessive amount of lumbar extension. Otherwise, just rest and give it a little rub from there. And then we're going to do your rotation. So some of you need or prefer to have a ball or a cushion between the knees just to keep the legs parallel. So if that's the case, I'm sure you can find something to improvise with at home. Okay, so probably too much for me there. So perfect. So I'm going to just have the ball between the knees. So we're going to do one arm opening, normal one, and then remind you of that version with the salute. So keeping that length, plenty of cushions behind you, everything stacked up. And then you're going to inhale, open that arm up to the ceiling, look at your hand, release your shoulder, and then exhale as you spiral back. Breath in there, and as you breathe out, gliding back again. So you can carry on with that version, or the one with the salute is you have the back of the hands, back of the fingertips towards your forehead, elbow, shoulders soft, you breath in to stay, and then as you breathe out, you're going to unravel and open back. Still keep that waist long and hips stacked. Breath when you get there, and as you breathe out, they'll come back again. So you can just keep the fingertips to your forehead. Breath in first, and breath out to open back. Wide breath here, and breath out to return. So I'm going to just do a couple more of those, and then we'll move on to everything on the other side. And then once you're done, hands can be stacked. You can inhale, reach and roll that top arm and your upper body forward up to around 5 times. So hopefully enjoying that little stretch under the shoulder blades. Okay, so we're going to go on to the other side. So I'm going to just top and tail so I can still see you. So you might want to do the same, or you might, if it's easier in the space that you have, you might prefer to just turn away as long as you can still hear me and you're familiar with those exercises. So first off was the side leg work. So if you can extend the underneath arm and then use your little cushion on your arm for your head, that's great. Otherwise use a big cushion. So the legs are in chair. I'm just doing around 5 reps. You could do around 8 at least. And we're going to do lift and lower, circles and forward and back. So the legs are in chair, everything's stacked, hand could either be in front of your ribs or your tummy, or hand on your hip, or possibly the arm up, palm facing towards you, but keeping that length and lift through the waist and through your centre. So first one, lengthening that top leg away in line with the hip. You could either keep the foot flexed throughout, or you could lift up with a point and then down with a flex. So let's do that version. I'm going to keep my hand here just to help keep me aware of that length and distance, rib to hip. So inhale, lift with a soft point, exhale, down with a flex just to hip height. So inhale, lift with a soft point, exhale, flex just to hip height. Inhale, lift, exhale, flex, keep that length and lift through the tummy. And I'm going to just do one more. That's it. And then coming back to chair, and then circles. So lengthen that top leg away in line with the hip, toes softly pointed. Keep breathing and scooping. And we're trying to do up to 5 stirs in each direction. Opening up the front of that hip, and then reversing. Still without disturbing your pelvis or the shape of your spine. And when you've done around your 5 or possibly a few more, just pause back in chair. Final one is forward and back, and you could just do the leg, or you could work with the arm sweeping the opposite way, as long as you've got that length and support through your spine. So we're going to lengthen the leg away in line with the hip, foot flex, keep it hip height. So as you breathe out centre, you're going to kick forward, keep that tailbone heavy. Inhale, point, and then exhale, sweep it back, so opening up the hip without arching. And then if you wanted to add the arm, you kick the leg forward as the arm sweeps back. Inhale, point, sweep the leg back and the arm comes forward. So try to keep the leg travelling at hip height, and then the movement of the arm is more of a sort of arc shape. Just do 1 or 2 more of those. And then when you've done your last one, your options are either quad stretch, possibly grabbing hold of the foot, but you don't have to. Just be careful not to extend that lumbar spine. And some of you like to sweep the leg back and round and rotate that upper body forward. Otherwise, just release and have a little rub there. And then I'm going to just do our glute and piriformis stretch before we move on. You may need extra head support to help you reach. You may not, so I've got really short arms. So you're going to make sure you're neutral initially, and then knee fold one leg, turn out from the hip. Still keep that centre engaged as you draw this leg up towards you. If it's hard to reach, you could also use a band or scarf. So for today's version, I'm going to keep that shape, and I'm just going to extend my leg that was in knee fold. So I just need to loosen my hands a little bit because of my short arms. And if you can, you could flex the foot as well. So you're getting glute and piriformis stretch and your hamstring stretch in one go. So just a few breaths there. And then you can soften the foot, bend that knee, lower and untangle. And then other side, knee fold, turn out, draw that leg up, interlock the hands around the back of the middle of the thigh, extending that leg and maybe flexing the foot if you wanted to add on the hamstring stretch to your glute and piriformis stretch. Otherwise, just stick with the version you're more familiar with without the hamstring stretch if you prefer. So just a few breaths there. And then I'm going to soften the foot, lower and untangle. And then today we're going to come onto your tummy and do your Cobra prep with the option of a knee bend and maybe a head turn to the other side. So just give yourself enough space for that. And because I'm propped up on the Cadillac, the angle of my arms is going to be a little bit narrower. On the mat, you could have the arms a bit wider, so they would be in this kind of goalpost window shape with the thumbs roughly in line with your nose. If you need a support of a cushion or a small towel just under your tummy to support your lumbar spine, please grab that as well. So the legs will be a little wider than hip width turned out. Try to lengthen yourself and your spine as long as you can. Thumbs in a line with your nose, and I'm going to be just slightly narrower on here. So just careful, shoulders aren't up to your ears. Carve the head in, so the forehead is on the mat, and maybe you need a little cushion here if that's helpful for you and feels better for your neck. So make sure you can really centre and lift that tummy away from the floor before you even begin. And then once you're ready, wide breath. As you breathe out centre, Nudge your marble with your nose, keep that length through the neck and just begin to glide the upper back up, breath at the top, and then lengthening and releasing back down. So with our extension here, we're focusing on our upper back extension and thinking more of the length through our spine rather than how high we're lifting. So I'm only working on that upper back. I'm not pressing my arms down to force myself up too high. And I'm getting that sense of arms and hands drawing down, shoulders drawing apart as I begin to lift up. Okay, so we're going to keep that alignment through the neck. So the next option you can add on is that we're going to glide up, keep that support through your centre and see how it feels just to bend one knee. And then you can lower that leg down, other leg, lower that leg down and then return. And I'm going to come up to that Cobra prep shape again. Keeping that length through the neck, I'm going to just turn my head to one side, back through to centre, turn my head to the other side, back through to centre and lower. And when you're turning your head, when I'm not looking down or looking up, I'm just turning to the side. And then if you wanted to, you could put those two together. So if I bend my left leg, I will turn my head to the right, lower the leg, head to the centre. And if I bend my right leg, I'm going to turn my head to the left and then lower and release. And just do one more of those each way. So breath, centre, nudge that marble with your nose as you glide up. So left leg, head to the right, return the leg, head to centre, right leg, head to the left, lower the leg, head to centre, and then we're going to release back down from there. And then after your extension, we will sit back into your rest position. If you need to come onto your back and hug the legs in towards you instead, that's fine. So toes together, knees apart. You may need a cushion under your knees, that's fine. And just reversing yourself back. Take a few breaths into there. So really let the ribs expand against your legs. If you need cushions under your head, if that's more comfortable, no problem. Just find a supportive position where you can just sort of rest and release for a few moments. And then from here, if 4-point kneeling is okay, we're going to do tabletop, arms and legs, and excuse me, and cat as well. If 4-point kneeling isn't appropriate, you could come onto your back and do starfish, which was like the version we did at the start. We did the leg slide and both arms in ribcage closure, so you could do one leg slide, opposite arm in ribcage closure as an alternative. Pardon me. So if 4-point kneeling is okay, we're going to come into arms under shoulders, knees under hips, pressing the floor away, keeping your tummy engaged. If you need to do this on elbows too, keep your bottom in the air and just work on the legs, that's perfect as well. So elbows ideally not locked out, so elbow crease facing towards each other, pressing the floor away. So feel that movement of the shoulder blades around the ribs that we found when we did our shoulder drops. The spine is neutral, neck is long. So start with the legs, so breath and centre, slide one leg, floating up, inhale lower, and then exhale to come back. Breath and centre, slide, float up without dipping in that lower back, and then gliding back in. If you wanted to, leg, opposite arm, and then return. Breath, centre, slide, float, lower, and then return. So the other version that we've been working on in class a little bit is we come into that position and we just take a few breaths, so maybe up to about 5 breaths, almost like you're just suspended across the room, and then lower and glide it back in and slide the other leg, opposite arm, floating up. And again, like we're suspended across the room, so keeping everything as neutral as you can, and then returning from there. And then we'll do cat, so you can keep that same start position, press the floor away. As you breathe out centre, we're going to round into that cat shape. Try not to hunch the shoulders, curl the tailbone, curl the head. Breath there, keep scooped and unravel both ends of your spine away from each other. So wide breath, rounding, and then rippling back to neutral, let those hip bones widen. The other version that we tend to enjoy in class is that we round up and then reverse that shape back. Keep the arms and legs still and just see if you can find neutral again, as we did with that seated variation earlier. So you round into C shape, reverse, neutral, and come back. Round, reverse, neutral, and come back. And some of you enjoy the up cat, down dog. And if that's appropriate, you can curl the toes underneath you, round up into that cat shape, spring up, let the heels level down towards the floor, back onto toes, lower, and then return. And then when you've finished, you can head back to rest if you wanted to, or just come off of your hands. If you need to shake out the wrists, you can do either some wrist circles or hands come together. And you could do this kind of movement where you're rocking between the two, or you're using both hands that help, or one hand's helping the other to do a little circle movement there. And then shaking out from there. And then if you do have your band, we're going to do pole raises and chest expansion. So for this, you'll be standing correctly. So although you can't see my lower half, I'm going to keep the legs parallel, weight even between both feet. And if you have a band, you're going to hold it at that shoulder width position again. If you don't have a band, you can still do exactly the same movement, and you can almost just imagine that you've got that like magnetic pull between both hands. So open across the chest. And as you breathe out centre, we're floating both arms up. I'm just going to sit down so hopefully you can see my arms there. And then inhale, bend the elbows, and then pull the band so the forehead comes towards your head. You know, to poke the head towards it, it comes where it gets to. It's that kind of direction. And then you can inhale, lengthen, exhale, lower. So as you breathe out centre, floating, inhale, draw down, exhale, reach up without hunching the shoulders, and exhale, return. So as you're doing this, I'll just come to high kneeling, hopefully you can see most of me. But as you're doing this, just keeping that alignment of the spine, so we're not tipping back as the arms move. So as you breathe out centre, float up, inhale, draw down, exhale, reach up, and inhale to lower. So as you breathe out centre, float up, inhale, draw down, exhale, reach up, and inhale to lower. And I'm just going to pop up to standing again. And chest expansion, same hold. As you breathe out centre, you're going to float up to just beneath shoulder height. And then inhale, we're going to press back. So band around your thighs, arms wrap around your thighs. So you're opening the chest and the collarbones without flaring. And then exhale, you float forward. Inhale, back, open up. You could turn your head to one side. Exhale to centre. Float forward, and then inhale to come back again, turning your head the other way. Let me just show you a little bit about seated. So you float up, and then you wrap the arms around, turn the head, keeping that length through the neck as you open the chest, back to centre, float up, and then lower, open back, maybe turning the head. And then from there, we'll come back to centre. And if you've got time and energy left to finish with, if spinal flexion isn't good for you, you could work on some squats to keep the legs hip width, weight even between both feet. And as you breathe out centre, we're sinking into that squat shape, let the sit bones widen, and inhale to come back. Alternatively, you could work on your roll down, and to see if I've got enough space to show you. So we're going to stay in that same position, grow tall. Inhale, chin tuck, exhale, peeling down. So one vertebrae at a time, tummy scooping up. When you can't go any further with your spine, just let that pelvis tilt forwards around your thighs and shake out the head, swing the arms, keep that tummy engaged. And then when you come up to the top, still using that centre, you're uncurling low back, middle part of your spine, upper back, neck and head, and then you can stand up tall from there. So do shrug and circle when you finish. I'm going to sit down so hopefully you can see me better in shot there. And we'll do your neck stretch, so opposite hand, opposite shoulder, shake out the arm, lengthen, chin tuck, check the other shoulder's not correct, up, tilt the head, and maybe add a little bit of rotation. And then unravel to face forward. Stacking up. Other side, check out that arm, lengthen, chin tuck, tilt. Adding that rotation. Couple of breaths. And then unravel and release. Shrug or circle if you want to. And very well done, and thank you for joining me. So I hope you're enjoying some of these videos. If you are, I'd really appreciate it if you would like or comment or just kind of interact with me on here, and if you could subscribe, that would be amazing as well. So I hope it's helpful content for you. Let me know please, and I'll try to keep things going over this time when we're not able to meet in person. So take care, thanks very much. Bye for now.